a lot of racism growing up in Columbus, Ohio. How did that shape you?
Whew. Well, the military wouldn't allow black families to live on the base, so you had to live in an apartment, and you couldn't take a bus. You couldn't afford a car. You walked. Your dads walked to the base, and sometimes we would go from tree shade to get back to the apartment. My brother and I, my mom, with bags, and my mom would go, "Don't look, don't look, don't look," and she'd pull us away. Wow. Because there is someone hanging from a tree. And they have a memorial for it now where you can see where people were and left. And it triggers me today to see that a voice can be silenced. And if a white family supported a black, they're going to get burned.
So I just wanted to make sure that I'm not chatting shit when I say this, but like, bro, like, there's no way she like saw this. Like, there's no way. This is a story that never ever happened, and I'm gonna show you what I found. Okay, so this is what I found right here. Based on available historical records, there is no evidence of widespread or documented lynchings involving people hanging from trees in Columbus, Ohio during the 1940s and 1950s. While Ohio did experience racial terror lynchings, these incidents primarily occurred in the late 19th century and early 20th century. So you're talking about 1880 to like 1920, right? Which is apparently before this woman Pam Grier was born. By the 1940s and 50s, national lynching rates had significantly declined, with 1952 being the first year without a recorded lynching. And according to her records, if I'm not mistaken, I think this lady was born in 1949. So she was, if she did see anything, it was when she was 3 years old. And I don't think she, like, bro, this is a story that did not happen. Now, with all that being said, I think this is a perfect time to mention a quote by Booker T. Washington, who was a slave who, eventually was freed from the slave plantation. And honestly, one of my favorite persons, because he wrote a very, very good book, Up From Slavery. You should definitely read that book if you want to learn more about how life was as a slave and then when you actually got freed. He actually said something very profound, and this is exactly why I don't take people serious when they claim the victim mentality. And quite frankly, I think you're a dickhead if you use slavery today as an excuse. I'm afraid that there is a certain class of race problem solvers who don't want the patient to get well, because as long as the disease holds out, they have not only an easy means of making a living, but also an easy medium through which to make themselves prominent before the public. And by the way, that came from a slave.
Are you going to get people to stop being trans?
I think we're going to tell boys that they're not girls.
So we're going to tell boys that they're not girls, and they're going to listen.
Yeah, basically.
Really?
Yeah, that's what we've done for most of history.
That happened to me, and I can promise you to God that I didn't listen.
Yeah, well, because we live at a time that is affirming the transgender delusion. But if we lived at a more sensible time, probably you would have listened, and you might have had some. And I think we should just return to a more sensible kind of politics.
But what is yours? You're not giving a solution on how you would even be capable of doing that.
I think we kicked the fellas out of the boys' bathroom. We kicked the transgender teaching out of schools. We just enforced the law as it was before 2015.
There was a law prohibiting trans women to go into the women's bathroom, or trans men going into the men's bathroom.
Yeah, it's there in the term women's bathroom.
That's a law.
That's why men can't go in.
That's a law.
Yeah. Yes, there are all sorts of laws against public indecency, for one, against men going into women's sports leagues. There are all sorts of regulations against that, or at least there were until recently. We did not have established in public life transgenderism until very, very recently.
And this is absolutely true. A lot of people don't understand that the reason why a lot of these kids are becoming trans, or the ideology of transgenderism is being, passed on, or these kids are being like this nowadays, is because it's normalized. Society has made it a normal thing, right? Now, do these people deserve the same rights as other human beings? Obviously, they're all human beings. But in terms of like transgenderism and thinking that you're another gender than you are, I mean, quite frankly, it's a mental illness. And these people need help. That's the only way I can describe it. Might sound harsh, but it's the absolute truth. But, like I said, a lot of people don't understand, like, the reason why these kids or these people think that it's fine for their kids to, cut off their genitals, or, transition at a very young age. And, I'm seeing liberals and people online saying, oh, our daughter told us that she was transgender when she was 4 years old. The reason why that is a thing is because it has become normalized. Like, that is, like, society looks at it and they don't scoff at it anymore. Nobody bats an eye. It's because it's a normal thing now. And the truth of the matter is, this started at the end of the Obama administration, as Michael Knowles just, referred to, 2015, right? When he was the year before he handed over the presidency to who Trump would eventually become the president. all these things, like all these laws that came into play, they all happened like very recently. It's only been like 10, 11 years ago. Men being able to go into women's bathrooms, men being able to go into, female prisons, being able to go into female sports and steal scholarships from actual women who were born women. Like, this is not a thing of the like far past. Like, this is a very, very recent thing, and it is only recent that it has become so normalized. And again, why all these kids are now becoming transgender, and they're saying that they don't even know what gender they are. It's very, very incredible to me how a lot of people don't understand how, malleable the minds of young children are and how easily they can be influenced. And as simple as it sounds, yes, if you tell kids from a very young age that boys cannot be girls and girls cannot be boys and women are the only people who can have children, it actually works.
Men are men. Men can never become women. Women are women. Women can never become men. Children are innocent and they need our protection.
Sometimes I really have to just sit back. You just have to just sit back and just laugh as to where we are as a society today and how far the Overton window has shifted. I don't necessarily find it amusing, but it's just like it's kind of like a laughter in the way, like, bro, like, this is like where we are today as a society, where a man can start a press conference like that. Like that is somehow now like a reward or like a crazy thing to do. Saying those things that are biologically factual, right, can get you canceled or like is somehow controversial today. Like, that is insane. What used to be just typical common sense, even though we know common sense is not so common, but what used to be simple common sense is now a political stance. Like, that's incredible, right? When a biological fact becomes like a political, like creates political tension, that's how you know we are cooked. Like, that is how you know we're cooked. Because if I'm being honest, when I first saw the clip, I was like, okay, this guy's spitting facts. But then when these people started applauding, I went into like a deeper analysis of what's happening here. The fact that these people felt the need to give this guy a round of applause for what he said just shows you everything, because people don't normally clap for something that's very obvious. People only clap or give a round of applause when something is contested. This round of applause shows you exactly how polarized like this type of rhetoric and this type of fact, by literal biological fact, has become. And then you move on to the fact that he also mentioned children, which means that obviously we know what's going on in the public school systems nowadays and what the type of books that they're allowing kids to read, and they're seeing drag shows and drag queens and all this stuff. It just shows you like the fact that we're mentioning children in that conversation, bro. We are absolutely fried, like deep fried, bro. This is something that we as a collective, as people, like, have to protect and safeguard children from. Like I don't think y'all understand like how insane that is. Language is now so political that even saying like a man is a man and a woman is a woman will bring you social consequences.